The World Health Organization defines family planning as the ability of individuals and couples to anticipate and attain the desired number of children and the spacing and timing of their births. But after these births, what happens? After these children get here, what next? And how many children is too many? Or how many children is enough? Nigeria is also seeing a record number of gender-based violence cases as human rights violations continue to spike. Is there an ideal way to determine the number of children to have? And what possible steps can be taken to curb gender-based violence? These and many more on Her Matters. Hello and welcome to Her Matters. I am your host. My name is Chioma Omero.
Culture of silence. Again, silence, because if you even try to say, oh, he did this to me, she did this to me, people then say, where's your proof? Are you sure?
Now, what I've seen is parents are not talking to their daughters and their sons. They are not talking to them. So when
people now think that if someone in the medical profession or in healthcare or in that field carries out the process, it would be safer.
The other part of it is the way we structured our healthcare system to actually selectively, remove these pager medicine vendors out of the entire health loop. We don't officially recognize them, but there's a significant role they have to play.
And welcome to Her Matters. I am your host. My name is Chioma Omero. Her Matters is a talk show series that focuses on pressing issues affecting women across the world. This show is designed to provide an opportunity for professionals to share their personal and professional experiences while shedding light on some of the most pressing issues surrounding the health and welfare of women. So, we're going to jump right in. Today we're talking family planning, gender-based violence, and human rights. And with me on the show to discuss is Pauline Abiola Oshuni. She's an SDG expert. SDG meaning Sustainable Development Goals. So she's going to help us with some of her expertise. Right? Pauline Abiola Oshuni, I'm so happy to have you here. You are our first guest on Her Matters. You're the first guest on the first episode, so you are literally breaking grounds on Her Matters. Thank you so much for being here. Now, I wanted us to talk about three particular subjects: family planning, gender-based violence, and human rights. Now, you are an SDG expert, which is SDG, of course, we know means the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, I wanted to, first of all, as an SDG expert, what do you do?
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I feel the pressure, but we'll perform regardless.
Well, yes, we'll get it done.
Yeah, we'll do our best. Yeah, so the SDGs have been, it's not a new term, it's not a new terminology, it's not a new thing, it's been around for quite a bit. And we're calling this the decade of action. Right? The previous years, people have talked about what are really the SDGs, how do we streamline, a lot of questions, a lot of rhetorics, a lot of discussions the world over. So, but this is the decade of action where we are actually putting our mouths,
the money where our mouths are, yes.
Yeah. So, long and short of it is that having had prior experience in the private sector, in the public sector, and development sector, I'm able to actually sit at the intersection and be able to see where each player is coming from, what their interests are, and how all of us can work together for the most important player,
right,
which is the person.
Okay.
So we have the planet, we have people, and we have profits. When it comes to the SDGs. When we put profits above people, we already know what happens.
Right.
We can't be too capitalistic, right?
Right.
And planet, of course, is determined. The success of the planet is determined by how the people act, and of course, we need resource. So all the three P's actually need to work together and bring out a synergy that actually works and actually makes us have a sustainable future.
Right.
So my role is actually to make sure that the interests of each player is taken care of, but with the person, the people factor as the center.
Okay. Yeah. So you are the person that makes sure that everybody comes to a happy place and we're all functioning and doing our job and nobody feels some type of way.
Yeah.
Because we know that if every sector did what they do, we probably wouldn't be here, right?
We wouldn't.
So you are the center.
Yes,
you are
I'm
literally
at the center, and I referee and I moderate those, those conversations and also those programs.
Nice.
And and manage a lot of egos.
As is with life, as with life.
And
Nice.
interest, and make sure that actually the resources are well utilized.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we're talking family planning, gender-based violence, and human rights. Now let's talk about family planning first, because this is one thing that I feel like has sort of like been an issue, but because we're in a country like Nigeria, you have to sort of like merge your culture versus common sense situation, because here we are about multiplying and procreation.
Yeah.
I read the definition about family planning, but what would you define is family planning?
Okay, so as a professional, say family planning is a very basically is about population control.
Okay.
So to speak, when we really think about it, when you say family planning, you actually bring it down to the persons involved, the man, the woman that are procreating.
Yes.
Although as we've seen, the world has changed and we have quite interesting dynamics when it comes to family.
Right.
But if we talk about the traditional setup that we know as man and woman, when you bring it down to the people. But the policy makers, when they're making this policy, they're not actually having the two players involved in mind, really.
Right.
Do you get? So family planning has now then become, as much as it's a two-person affair, it has now, the responsibility has been pushed to one person.
To one person.
Who is the woman.
Right.
Right? So anything when it comes to children, number of children, even quality of the children.
It's true.
Is the woman, because the responsibility of taking care of the children is primarily the woman, especially in the African
setting and setup. Right.
And the thing is that it's not just about the nurturing bit of it, but we've also seen a lot of women becoming breadwinners. Even when it's a two-parent home,
right.
We've seen that. So when you talk about family planning, it's quite a wide and vast topic, right? But these players really have talked on these tables, right? In very high places.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we need to bring that conversation to the two people.
Right. Involved. The
And
two
then
people
also,
that did the tango.
The two people that, the people that actually dance the tango really well with beautiful results.
Yes.
And also bring it down also to the man and the woman. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to the two people, the man now pushes the responsibility to the woman. But the man also has a really high responsibility. Because let's face it, a woman can only get pregnant once a year. But a man can impregnate if he goes on a reproduction spree, he can actually have a child a day or 3 children a day, depending on his virility.
Right.
So really pushing that responsibility to one party of the tango duo is actually not a good thing.
Right.
So as much as we're making policies at government level and at development stage level, we really need to bring it down to the people.
To the people
I'm
involved,
about
to
the people and what is good for the people, because they're the center of the SDGs.
We know, for example, that a country like China, once upon a time, there was a rule that everybody was having 1 child, right? And then all of a sudden it went up to 3 because there was a decline in birth rates. Now, do you think that kind of a rule can pass here in Nigeria, considering where we are? And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that whole process of being told how many children to have.
Yeah.
And do you think that would work in a society like ours?
In my educated opinion and informed opinion, the short answer is no.
Kind of like,
Yeah. Why? Because the Nigerian people are quite an interesting and peculiar people. Peculiar in a good way, in that they are very multifaceted and they are not governed by just one thing. The best thing about Nigerians is the richness of the culture and the family being the center of it, right? So they view children as a source of pride and joy. Right? They view children
Every child is a gift.
Yes, it's
every child is a gift.
And every child is a form of wealth.
Right.
Even when we explore how they name the children,
Yes.
every child is like a prophecy of what is to come.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So asking me to have one child and just have one prophecy.
So I'm only having one jewel.
Yeah, one
I can
jewel
have.
and one prophecy, so to speak. When you look at the naming system, then it's really difficult. And also, we are coming from a place where people are still a little bit polygamous. Whether it's out in the open or not. Yeah, we may look at it as an African issue or a world issue, but I mean, in Nigeria we still have the issue of polygamy. So, are you going to have a child with one woman and just one child? So, long and short of it is that, and also the cultural issue where women's worth is judged by the ability
to reproduce,
and to have children.
It's true,
and especially the male child. So what happens if your first, second, and third child are female children? You want to keep trying for a male child, or if all you're giving is female children, the man may choose, okay, let me try Nkechi.
Yeah, it's true. First wife gave me only girls. I'll go for another wife, specifically because I want to see if we can have a male child.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of factors. So that's why I say the short answers. People at the end of the day govern themselves as per who they are and as per who their genetic makeup is.
Right.
And I don't think Nigerians are wired that way. So whichever policy you pass, I don't think.
Yeah, we're wired special. Our wiring is different. It's like a different electrical system when it comes to Nigerians. Yeah. We all know that in a family setting, the primary caregivers for children are parents and guardians.
Yeah.
Now, a recent World Bank report read that 95% of Nigerians are living in poverty. If a government is allowing population expansion, so shouldn't they now have more of a bearing on the livelihood of said population? So which is now bringing us to government's role in this issue of culture versus, as I would say, common sense, which is regulating having children. Shouldn't we do better? They should be doing better.
They definitely should, because let us be very honest here. Up until you're 18, you really belong to the state. In a proper working
society,
society. A child does not belong. We are literally custodians. And that's why when you look at more developed states like the US, if, for example, you went and slapped your child today, and the neighbor saw it and reported you, the state would come.
They will become a ward of the state. Yes, you become a ward of the state.
So, essentially, the child belongs
is
to
a
the
ward
state.
of the state.
And that's why when you talk about free education, free healthcare,
yes,
it's basically to make sure that these children are well taken care of, regardless of the social economic status that they come from, that they essentially did not choose.
That's true.
If you had a child today, that child did not choose what social economic status to be born into. But they have a right to be taken care of, right? They have a right to good education, they have a right to good healthcare, good services and all that, right? So long and short of it is that the government actually, I would say, may have failed, and not just the government of Nigeria, a lot of governments have failed their children, because they are not able to take care of these children, right? They pass policies, they pass laws that actually do not trickle down to the point where they actually benefit the children.
Right.
So the governments have not done really well. They are collecting the taxes, right? And they may not be channeling them in the right avenues to ensure that these children are actually really well taken care of. So fine, pass all the beautiful laws you can, but are they workable? Are they working?
Are they workable? Are they working?
Yeah. Are they being implemented well?
Are we telling ourselves the truth though? Because I feel like sometimes we live in this bubble where everything is fine, right? Yeah. Well, okay, but you can have as many children as you want. You can barely feed yourself and your wife. Just a man alone, you can barely feed yourself and your wife, but you have 8 children, 10 children. And in your mind, your children are scrounging for food, but it's almost like are we living in a delusion almost?
And it's so bad because we actually have seen these children being forced into early labor, child
Yes.
labor. You know, like if you even drive around the expressway and you're at the stop, let's even
Yes,
at Lekki
yes.
here, and you see children that actually should be at school,
But
out
they are
here
working.
hawking,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And not just during the day; it's at night. You know,
Danger.
So they are exposed to all kinds of
things.
elements,
Yes.
right? So first and foremost, as parents, of course, they've also failed. The system has failed us, but also parents have failed their
us,
children.
yes.
So it becomes a cyclical issue. It's a systemic issue that becomes cyclical, and it becomes acceptable, and it becomes a way of life, and it is actually wrong. We were having a discussion at one point and said, I mean, imagine you're poor, right? You're living in this, I don't know what you call them here, but let's think about a tin house,
Yes.
right? And you're looking at your wife, and the man is looking at the wife, and they're feeling bonded by, you know, the stories of what will we become, and they're telling each other stories, and, you know, it sets the mood correct.
Right.
And this woman probably is not under any birth control method or family planning, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
What's their form of entertainment?
One thing leads to another.
Yeah. What's
Yes.
the most affordable form of entertainment?
Yep.
You and
You and I,
Let's tango. Right?
you and I, let's
Yeah.
tango.
So
That's
let's
right.
tango.
That's right.
And we do a beautiful dance. And what do we do?
And it results in a couple of
Dance with the
jewels.
child. So 2019, baby. 2020, 2021, 2022. So the children are rolling in.
But I wanted us to go a little bit and discuss gender-based violence. In Nigeria, women between the ages of 15 to 49 have experienced some sort of either sexual violence, gender-based violence of some sort. And it's quite alarming. But why do you think the numbers are so high here in Nigeria?
For many reasons, right? Going back to what we were discussing earlier, economic factors, right? People get frustrated. So you can imagine a man that is probably not in formal employment, right? And he goes out and he's been hustling all day and he comes back home and he has nothing. And madam is asking for soup money and there's no soup money. And madam is also frustrated and, you know, talks back at the man. And the man now, I mean, it's not justifiable that he should be violent
Yes,
to her. I mean, by all reasons. But his frustrations, who does he met at on the woman, on the wife, and the children. Do you get? There's something we call like projected aggression, right? So you might be angry at person A, but you let it out on person C. So when I'm now speaking still as an SDG person in development issues, a lot of frustrations are as per, you know, the economic situation of a person, especially in Nigeria. I'm
That's
sorry
true.
to say, but I feel like Nigerians are really angry because of maybe systems that are not working. You know, I mean, so many issues. You don't have fuel today. Because you don't have fuel today, there's another issue. I mean, so there's that issue. Speaking at that level, that economic factors have greatly contributed to people's frustrations, both men and women. And because naturally men are probably more, stronger physically.
Right.
You know, taking out their frustrations on their women. You know, they may not go fight another man, but they may fight their woman because they're looking. It's like a pressure cooker. You know, you have so much pressure within you.
Eventually, that
right?
pot
that pressure needs to get out at some point.
somehow.
And who is unlikely to uncork that pot? You know that thing? It's the woman, especially when she asks. So every question becomes like a trigger. Do you get?
Yes.
So economic issues really play into that. And then let's also not forget the fact that when you talk about gender-based violence, we have two genders. At least, okay, as you said, the world has changed and there are many, you know.
We have here in Nigeria, we have two.
Okay, so
I
let's
think
speak about.
I think in Nigeria here we focus on two.
On the two, okay.
On the two.
Fine, on the two.
We focus
So
on the two.
gender-based violence can be man to woman, woman to man.
Yes.
Right? And I'll be very honest with you, we focus so much on the man to woman GBV issue, and we've not looked at the
Woman to man.
woman to man, right?
But it does occur.
Oh, it does
Maybe
occur
not
a
as
lot.
much.
Not as much, but
but-
it does. But let me say, it could actually be the same at the same scale, only
Really?
that men may not speak.
Okay.
Men
okay.
may not speak.
That's
especially
another
in this
angle.
Society.
That's a whole other angle by itself.
Especially in this society where, how does one man go and say, my wife beats me? How? Especially knowing how patriarchal this society is. How will you be counted as a man? And actually, we don't even have safe spaces for men to come out and say, I'm experiencing abuse in my home.
Yeah, or even, because it's not just even at home. I mean, some of them have been abused at the workplace, if your boss is a woman, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, we never really think about it in this space where a man, now we have people speaking up. I think I'm thankful for like social media and things like that, where people are able to sort of like talk about their rights being violated in whatever way, form or fashion. And that is a serious, serious thing.
Yeah.
There are protections in the Nigerian Constitution under Chapter 2 and 4 for human rights. Of course, if we're looking at things, there's violation of those rights, and there's a lot of violence. Do you think that ignoring these protections is probably what is causing the surge in the number of cases of domestic violence?
Okay. So there's the ignoring as per looking away, but there's also ignorance in that people don't know.
Okay.
You know, people may not know.
That's true.
So I could know something and look the other way. I'm ignoring that factor. But there's also the issue of ignorance as well.
I don't know my rights. I don't know my rights. I don't know what I should get.
Yeah. You'd be very shocked at what people don't know. We assume that people know. But people may not have been educated about what rights they have. And also, the people that know the rights may actually be abusing when they're exercising. For example, I have the right to speak my mind, but I don't have the right to abuse you. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. I have every right. There's freedom of speech.
Yes.
But there's also rules that govern how you express
yourself. Right.
Because I don't need to just speak anyhow.
Just because.
And torture you mentally.
Yes. Right.
And abuse you. Right. And insult you. Do you get? So there's the issue of human rights and the ignorance of it. And also, when you know them, what is your responsibility as you exercise your rights?
Gotcha.
Do you get? So long and short of it is that the issue of human rights, every person, every human being, even a child has rights. We also we're in a society where children don't have rights.
Don't have rights.
You know?
Or their rights are suppressed.
Also, women, you have to be seen and not heard.
Right.
The minute a woman speaks, and she may be speaking the right thing, she's being looked at as, oh, you're disobedient, you're stubborn, and you're all that. And culturally, we've been taught that a woman is subservient to the man. A child is obedient, it should be obedient
to the parent, yes.
A child should be obedient to the correct things, not just anything.
Yes.
Who said that the adult is always right? So the issue of human rights is also very, very wide. And the idea is that do people know the rights? And do they know how to exercise the rights?
The rights.
How to and what channels? And in any case, if these rights are abused, then how are they to actually take it up?
So we're talking about possible reorientation and re-education of letting people know this is what you should get and this is where you can go and report certain things when they happen to you. And of course, we're talking about people with the fear of even having to go and report certain things.
Yeah, and also culturally, there are some cultures that actually border on human rights violations. Think about FGM. You know, it actually violates.
That's the whole other look. That subject, we're going to even that one is another look. We can talk about this. We can talk about this forever, Pauline. But we have to bring this episode to a close because we are going. We have so many things in this whole series. These next episodes, we have so many things to talk about. But I'm so glad you could come. I'm so happy to have you on the show. Thank you for coming. Thank you for shedding light. You're an expert and you brought some expertise to our series. Thank you for coming out. Thank
you. It's been a pleasure. I feel like you said there's so much to discuss. And
yes,
I believe that as time goes on. Because an empowered person is a person that actually thrives.
That's it.
Yeah. And a woman cannot thrive in a society that is constantly batting.
Exactly. So we're gonna one day at a time, I guess. Re-educating, reorientation is gonna be happening. Hopefully something like this series will open up the world to some of these issues and maybe we can get the help that we need so we can start to live better lives. As you said, you're the person who meets in the middle to make sure everybody's happy so that we cannot find that happy place. So we cannot find that happy place. And
some people will be unhappy in the process, but we need to do the right thing.
For the greater good.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to Her Matters.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's our show today. I'd like to say a big thank you to our principal partners, Worthy, the Herbert Wigwe Foundation, and Hasty Health Initiative. Until the next time, stay safe and take care of yourselves.